Good afternoon and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners Board meeting for Tuesday, December 15th, 2020. I am John Hutchings, the chair of the board. To my right is Vice Chair Commissioner Ty Menser. To my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards. We have a supportive role here at the board table is our County Manager Romero Chavez and Clerk of the Board Amy Davis. We also have Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell, I would imagine, and a whole host of folks on the screen that will be jumping in and out as the agenda items come up, and public testimony as well, I can see. So with that, I'm calling the meeting to order, and the Pledge of Allegiance is to be led by Commissioner Gary Edwards.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Here's our motion to approve today's agenda.
I move to approve agenda for Tuesday, December 15th, 2020.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve today's agenda. Is there any changes or amendments?
No, sir.
Agenda? Nope. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. And how about the meeting minutes?
Move to approve board meeting minutes from December 1st, 2020, December 7th, 2020, and December 8th, 2020.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the board meeting minutes from December 1st, 7th, and 8th, 2020. Any corrections or changes to the
No, sir.
minutes? Nope. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. That takes us to the presentations part of the meeting. The first is recognition of Auditor's Office elections staff. Romero.
Commissioner, I'd just like to take this opportunity, and I believe Mary Hall, our county auditor, is present on the Zoom, as well as some of members of her staff. But I'd just like to frame the conversation related to what an incredible job the county auditor and the elections staff did in this year. It was not necessarily about this very important election. Record voters participate in this election, but if you add the COVID-19 emergency, that put into a totally different set of parameters. And the county auditor, her staff, in their leadership, knowing what they needed to do and deliver to the citizens of Thurston County, they stood up a voting center on the South Puget Sound Community College campus. It was not an easy fit. In 3 months, they secured all the internet connections, purchased laptops, installed phones, cameras, security, drop boxes, developed a circulation for a drive-through for the voters who wants to register, leading to serving close to 13,000 voters at this particular location during the general election. So, and again, by itself, conducting a general election is tasking. If you add the COVID-19 emergency, is even unprecedented what they have done to serve the citizens of Thurston County. With that in mind, I will probably ask Mary Hall to give us a couple of words before the commissioners say their thing.
A little louder, Mary.
You're muted. That seems to be the phrases.
Yeah, I bought cups that say that. So thank you very much, Romero, for those kind words. And thank you, commissioners, for recognizing us. That really warms my heart. You know, this is my 6th presidential election, and presidential elections are like elections on steroids anyway. And we knew before COVID, we were going to have historically large turnout. But I'll tell you, with COVID, it was no small feat. We now have over 200,000 registered voters, and we had over 168,000 ballots cast in this election. And we had a lot of first-time challenges because of legislation. We had automatic voter registration, same-day voter registration, universal voter registration, all for the first time. But really, all the cards fell into place. And by moving to South Puget Sound Community College, we were able to protect our voters. They didn't even need to get out of their car, and our election staff, which was a really huge priority. But this was really not just us, it was a huge community effort. I want to thank the first people, Joe Wolf and Carrie Arndt, who helped us with all of our procurement because it was a huge thing to pull together. South Puget Sound Community College was amazing. They lent us their student union hub as well as another couple buildings. Public Works, they poured a ramp so we could utilize the sidewalk for our street, essentially. We used their flaggers on election night. IT set up phone banks, laptops, secure network. They had to pull cable between two buildings. We had to work with 4 jurisdictions for signage: Department of Transportation, Olympia, Tumwater, Department of Enterprise Services. And the governor's office was great, removed a few roadblocks for us as well. And we even worked with a car dealership on Cooper Point Road to use private property to put up some signs. The cities were terrific. We worked with their police chiefs and the sheriff's department to patrol our boxes. And we had a lot of sheriff deputies who worked with us the week leading up to the election and really did a great job of helping us close down the campus on election night, which is more complicated than you would think. And I want to thank you also, commissioners, because I had to come to you many times because of procurement issues and grant requirements. And you were always willing to get me on the agenda quickly. And I really, really appreciate that. And when it came down to election day, it was a big day. We had long lines. It was incredibly rainy, windy weather. I wore the wrong shoes. But by 8:45, every single person had been taken care of, which was pretty amazing. And we also worked really hard to keep our ballot processing center safe. We worked with Dr. U, Dr. A, Shelley Slaughter to brainstorm ideas of how do we set that up, because it takes people to process ballots. And we did not have one person come down with COVID, which was amazing. And I only have 8 full-time staff. So I had half at the ballot processing center, half at the college. We hired about 112 extra help staff to pull this off. Half at, we had to duplicate our teams at the ballot processing center, and they never worked together. Not in signature verification, ballot intake, ballot inspection, because if one team needed to be quarantined, we needed another team to continue on. But I have an amazing team, and every single person gave 150%. So I'd really like to introduce my staff. Tilina Putti-Puller, who's my election manager, is amazing. Lynette Milton, election supervisor, who ran things at the college. Laura Carlson, Tony Wicki, Lynn Watanabe, Jack Mongan, Jamie Davidsmeyer, Carissa Owens, Chastity Cologne, Riley Devaney. And of course, I couldn't have done it without my chief deputy, Diana Benson, Kathy Bright, my executive assistant, and Emmett O'Connell, who did an amazing job in communications. And he also got the sign duties, and everybody saw the signs, I'm sure. And again, I mentioned Joe Wolf and Corey in my finance department really helped with our procurement, because my staff was frankly overwhelmed to deal with a lot of it. But I'm really proud of my colleagues, not only across the state, but our nation, for conducting one of the most secure elections and one of the most transparent elections I think we've ever conducted. All our community partners and county partners contributed to our success. And for that, I thank each and every one of you. We couldn't have done it alone.
That's wonderful, Mary. How many total-wise number are on your staff on Zoom with us now?
Oh,
like
gosh.
8, 10, something like you have quite a contingent.
Quite a few.
That's wonderful.
Let's see. Yeah, it looks like quite a few. And, it takes all of us. It's like a well-greased machine or an orchestra. And it was beautiful music. So.
Commissioner Menser, any questions or comments about the auditor?
No questions, just a tremendous thank you. It was awesome to watch your team adapt. I know, speaking with you over the last 2 years, I know you were apprehensive about this election well before COVID, as you said. And so to be able to take all of that and hit 200,000 registered voters and adapt to, the legislature was changing laws on you about registration and information and same day and all that, which are all good positive things for the community. But I know I've learned about the kind of burden they put on you guys, especially when you're operating with last minute changes and a pandemic environment, and then You toured me through the center at SPSCC, and that was very impressive. And it's cool to hear how the teams collaborated, including the sheriff's office, the IT department, all of that. So to see the countywide effort to make your effort successful, it's what commissioners love to see. So we're really happy, and thank you to all your core team, up and down. We know how hard they worked and what a great job they did.
Yeah, and I have to point out, Corey was in charge of pouring the curb so we could drive up on this road. He worked with Public Works and did an awesome job. Other duties as assigned.
Commissioner Edwards?
Well, I guess I would just echo what Commissioner Menser said, but I'd like to carry that one step farther. As a candidate that happened to be there and sweating through this whole election process, and commend you and your staff. And the nice thing that I think I was able to observe from a distance, because I never did get too close to it because of my involvement, having watched you through past elections and the excellent work that you've done where I've actually been over there and taking into account what's going on a daily basis. I would like to point out, though, to the viewers that although you put out more than 200,000 ballots, we really only had a little over 168,000 come in, so over 30,000 did not vote, if you think about it. Now, why was that? It was probably because they had moved, or they were deceased, or their situation had changed. We don't know exactly, but I don't know how you can say things are too bad when we had that many ballots out there that were not turned in. So for those that might be thinking otherwise, I just think it's a good example of how you were able to scrutinize everything. There's allegations in other areas about all kinds of improprieties, but none of that around here. So I just want to make sure that your folks know they are appreciated, and for all the hard work they did. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I thought with the volume of these microphones, there was enough echo in here, but to echo my seatmates, I would only add that in spite of working closely with the Secretary of State, Kim Wyman, and Department of Homeland Security and such, there were bad guys, thugs, ne'er-do-wells all over the world trying to infiltrate into our systems here, and you fought them off at every front, working with IT, as Commissioner Menser said, and pulled this off flawlessly. So hats off to you, Mary, and all of your staff. And I understand Tony's leaving.
Yes,
So I'll miss
I'm in
Tony,
denial.
too. He was a great asset, not to diminish anybody else that's with you now, but Tony, what a great loss he is when he retires.
I'm in denial.
Yeah.
But, I want to thank you as well for investing in IT and the tools they needed to keep us safe, because there was definitely an attack happening in October. And, I'm pleased to say that we and nobody in the state was penetrated. So thank you for that, for funding those tools.
You're very welcome. You got a great team. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next is presentation on what? Thank you, Mary. Yes, thank you, Auditor.
Thank you.
Is there a presentation on coronavirus relief funds and the great efforts there?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. As a matter of framework, the county was allocated through the CARES money, the Coronavirus Relief Fund in 2020. And we received in 2 installments just about over $21 million. And the $21 million have a lot of restrictions in terms of timing and expenditures, which I'm happy to report that as of yesterday, the county has spent and has left no money on the table, and we have been able to utilize all the allocations related to the Coronavirus Relief Fund. So, and that is a success story. And the success story goes without saying that we need support. When the board decided to allocate the funds, internal and external, you made allocations to external partners to help us deliver to address the needs of the community in terms of the businesses, food shortages, and rental assistance. And before I get to the level of detail as to how much you allocated to 3 specific groups, I'd like to send a shout out to Janica Machado. I think she's with us today. She really was the conduit between the county and external partners that you will hear today. I know that she has been working behind the scenes, but I'd like to highlight her tremendous effort and commitment to make sure we don't leave any single money on the table. And as I mentioned this morning, also requires an internal team to make sure that we cross all the T's and dot all the I's related to this coronavirus relief fund. So leading to the external partners, the board allocated $7.5 million to the Thurston Strong Coalition, $2.3 million to United Way, and close to $4.4 million combination of coronavirus relief fund and commerce money to the Community Action Council for rental and utility assistance. So we have representatives from those 3 groups this afternoon because the distribution of that amount of money in such a short period of time is not an easy task. So, and that's what we have this afternoon. I don't know who is going to take the lead. Jenica, you want to say a couple of words and introduce the guests?
Hi, thank you. Good afternoon, commissioners. Jenica Machado, Economic Development Manager. So we have 3 of our partners on the line today. We have the Thurston Economic Development Council, United Way of Thurston County, and the Community Action Council. And so we can go ahead and start off with the Economic Development Council. On the line, we have Michael Cade, the CEO, and Jason Robertson, who served as the Thurston Strong Coordinator. And so Michael or Jason, feel free to share your screen. I believe you have a slide.
Yeah, Jason's going to do the major part of the presentation, but I just, to tee that up a little bit, thank you, Jenica, for your leadership and your advocacy for this program. It really was fantastic how we worked together very cohesively and created a strong network and a safety net for all organizations to participate in this. And thank you, County Commissioners, for your leadership. This has made a really significant impact, and what you'll hear from Jason is that impact and how those dollars were strategically invested into this community. I didn't want to start the meeting off without a thank you and acknowledgement of that leadership that happened and is happening at the county level, and certainly at the commissioners and with Jenica. Thank you very much. Jason.
Thank you, Michael. I'm going to echo Ramiro. Jenica has been awesome. There are a lot of people involved in this effort, and having Jenica there made it all work. So thanks, Jenica. Just a reminder of what Thurston Strong is. It's essentially a modified combination of the partners who helped put together the original Thurston Economic Alliance Plan, and involves all the major cities, the county, community and economic development organizations. And we did it that way so that we were looking at this thing from all perspectives. Early on, back in March, and I know we've got 5 minutes to talk about the last 9 months, but we set up 2 things. One, a hotline for businesses and impacted workers. And in just a few months, we had 10,000 points of contact with people looking for information. We also set up thurstonstrong.org that has provided resource information, everything from how to apply for a PPP loan to how to apply for a micro grant. I've had over 11,500 visitors to that website just since the end of March. We think it was pretty effective. Thurston County businesses were able to secure over $100 million in small PPP loans, averaging $32,000 a piece. And then thanks largely to Thurston County pass-through CARES dollars, we assembled a combination of business grants that's probably going to top 10 million by the time we're done. And 7.3 million of that came from the county. And what you see before you is just a breakdown of how we allocated those dollars. $3 million to childcare providers. Our group just realized early on that, there's a bang for your buck if you keep childcare open. Over 40% of providers had shut down statewide by June. And we knew that if we're going to start asking people to go back to work, they have to have that as a viable possibility. So we're really proud of that effort. I'll talk more about that later. We also made sure everybody, I think we almost had 100% coverage for people seeking grant assistance. So the micro business grant was in allocations of $1,500, just to help with 1 month's rent or buying supplies. We did a restaurant retail grant. That industry was hit the hardest, still is. Those grants went as high as $20,000. And the retailers, and I've spoken to a lot of the retailers who said that the grant has helped them stay open this far, and we're hoping for more action out of Congress soon. We set up a nonprofit grant. Nonprofits were handed an even bigger workload with fewer resources during COVID, and they're significant employers in Thurston County. So we stood up as many as we could there. We had a special agriculture grant that covered everything from farmers to value-added manufacturers in the supply chain. And then we had what's called Scale Up, which is business training. And this is helping small businesses learn how to adapt their model so they can stay open through having a web presence, re-engineering the layout of their store, those sorts of things. And then we also purchased and distributed $80,000 worth of personal protective equipment in the form of masks, sanitizer, and no-touch thermometers. In terms of what we did with your money, we're still sorting all the data. It's been a furious endeavor, but we think that we're able to use county money to give out over 1,100 grants to small businesses throughout Thurston County. 600 or more in micro businesses, almost 119 restaurant retailers, 120 child care providers, 90 nonprofit organizations, and 74 training grants, 60 farm grants. Just quickly, this is a chart. All the gray lines represent the 39 counties in Washington state. Since January, consumer spending is pretty flat on average statewide, and it's up 35% or more, almost 36% in Thurston County, and we're at the top of the list. And we're not taking 100% credit for that, but we're taking some of it. Keeping these businesses open, helping people connect to unemployment benefits faster, I think really helps stabilize Thurston County. And this is just a quick picture of what it's all about. Maybe I'll have Michael wrap us up here. Just what it's meant to people who for months felt alone, desperate, to know somebody was thinking about them and here to help. I'm hoping that it helps us build an even stronger Thurston County coming out of the virus. Michael.
Yeah, I think I'm going to leave you with this point, with this slide. I think it's a very descriptive imagery of what we were able to accomplish and your leadership was allowed us to do for you. And in the sense that this slide, these individuals represent a pretty significant investment into our future. And a lot of times we look at numbers at the Economic Development Council and we forget that a statistic represents a human and a family that's been adversely impacted by an economic downturn that they really had no doing in creating. And so Jason mentioned that these smiles represent the notion that people are so very grateful for being allowed to participate in a recovery. One of the things that we tried to do when we started Thurston Strong was the notion that recovery started last spring. It didn't start tomorrow, it didn't start next week, it started last spring. And the leadership provided by these grants and these dollars allowed us to invest and allowed the community to invest in our future. And the future really resides in childcare and our ability to ensure that that sector can ensure that they're vibrant and resilient as we move forward. Because recovery does set and reside pretty strongly in how we take care of our future and our children. So I'm gonna stop there because it's a very emotional thing for me to talk about when somebody picks up a grant here in the office and a check, and all of us in the room start crying about just the relief and the sense of support that they're getting, not only from this side of the table, but from their side of the table. And economic development becomes, and it comes back to the notion that we're taking care of a family. You look at the root words of economic development, it truly means to take care of one's own house. And that's what Thurston Strong has been doing, is take care of our house. So thank you very much. And thank you for your leadership. And cannot again thank Jenica enough for her advocacy and her good work there. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Michael, very much for that. Questions or comments? Commissioner Evers?
My only comment would be back to Michael and his team and the presenters and Jenica. This was a team effort. That's about the best way I can put it. I think that's a good example of the community coming together. It was passed through funding that was made available. That was all part of the team. What we did was continue to pass that through, work with others. And I want to commend Commissioner Hutchings for his leadership as well on this whole process, because I know he was actively involved with the EDC. So just thank you very much, Hutch, and to all the players, because it was definitely a team effort. And I think we're not through it yet, but we're getting there.
Thank you. Commissioner Mentor?
One of the things that the commissioners do during this was the Washington State Association of Counties, WASAC, has weekly check-ins on the coronavirus funds with our county commissioner counterparts all over the state. We get to hear what they're doing and share ideas, and that was really useful. And it made me very grateful, thankful, frankly, because not every county has the partnerships and the economic development infrastructure in place that we had to be able to, frankly, make our jobs pretty easy compared to some counties that were trying to basically reinvent the wheel and create programs out of thin air and allocate resources, and made me really proud and thankful to be a Thurston County Commissioner, where we already had the collaboration and the necessary infrastructure, as I call it, to make these things happen. And I know a lot of work went into it. I'm not diminishing that. I know hopefully there's silver linings to some of these things that have happened to us in 2020. Jenica Machado came in. Her position was created well before we knew about any of this, and she got trial by fire, and I'm sure she's just, twice as good as she would have been otherwise through all of this. And I hear nothing but good things about the work she's done for the county. So thank you, Jenica. Thank you, Michael. I've heard Michael give many presentations over the last 6 months, and so I can attest to his tireless effort to connect to the community, whether it's reporting to the STEADY group in South Thurston, whether it's reporting, the Economic Expo, Innovation Expo, whether it's coming to the board, all over the place. He's all over the place, and it's made a big difference. I was able to answer questions. The commissioners get hit with people from all over the community, business owners, friends, family, whatever. And I had answers a lot of the times because of the information I was constantly getting from Thurston Strong. So all of that worked really well from my perspective where I sit, so I thank you.
When I used to work on my car, or when I tear things apart at home and put it back together, there's always an extra part somewhere. But when you have $21 million to distribute, and at the end of all that amount of time, with all the array of people involved and activities involved and issues, there was never a penny left over. That is remarkable. And that's a testament to everybody's hard work and effort on this part and keeping track of everything and meeting the deadline. And even though in my heart of hearts, I really believe the worst is over, yet the work's not complete. And I know everyone's going to keep their eye on the ball and keep us moving to progress and into progress. And I know I've sung Jenica's praises over the last year or two. And so thank you, Jenica. You're a great addition to the county. Michael Cade, Jason Robinson. I understand also there's I think I saw Doug Ma, Thurston Strong, on as David Shafford, perhaps with the chamber. I don't know if he's here. There's a slew of people that have been involved in putting this together, to include Mindy and Chris Wells and such. And I thank you all very much for your concerted effort and your belief in helping people, desire to help people. And like Michael Cade said, it is very, very touching, very touching. So thank you all very much for what you've done in this arena, but continue on because we're not done yet.
Thank you. And I would be remiss if I did not also take an opportunity to thank you, to thank Michael and Jason for their leadership and just tireless work to see this through and make what was seemingly an impossible task a possible task to support the community. So thank you for your partnership. I truly enjoyed working with you on this.
Right.
And with that, we'll move to Chris Wells, who is our representative and is the CEO from United Way of Thurston County.
Thanks, Jenica. And I'm pretty sure you're going to get sick of hearing this, but there's no way we could have done everything that we've done in the last few months without Jenica's steady hand, great partnership, her leadership, her tireless work. I don't want to just pile on here because I know you're hearing a lot of it, but you deserve every bit of it. And I want to say thanks to the Board of County Commissioners for the trust that you've placed in United Way as we worked to stabilize the critical services in the community and get direct assistance to people who had been displaced from their jobs by the pandemic and really needed some help getting by until other assistance came in. As you know, we partnered with the Community Foundation back in the first or second week of March to establish the Thurston County COVID-19 Response Fund. And the idea was that we needed to rapidly provide financial assistance, prioritizing funding for all of those nonprofits that were providing essential services that were going to help steward the county through this crisis. And we knew it was going to be a long haul. That required a couple things. First, understanding, how much of a surge in demand they were going to experience, but then also understanding how they were going to have to change their operations and what impacts to the expense to keep those operations going while they were seeing that big surge in demand. And that was really ensuring that the nutrition programs were whole, that senior services was whole, that the food bank was well-resourced. All of that initial bulk purchasing that we did in the first 90 days of the crisis when there were supply chain disruptions and a lot of panic purchasing to make sure the people who needed it the most were still getting essential supplies like shelf-stable food, infant supplies, diapers, wipes, formula, baby food, toddler food, things like that. We had to go to a number of different places around the country to source some of those supplies and make sure they were getting here and getting out very quickly. I'm happy to say we'll have a much more complete report for you in January when we do a lot of the demographic data gathering that we're going to be doing and reporting back on. But we have been able since March to ensure that the Thurston County Food Bank is fully funded to continue operating at the level that they are now, which is significantly higher than it is in a normal year. Senior services, the Meals on Wheels and senior need programs are also fully funded. The community kitchen with Catholic Community Services is fully funded. We've provided youth support services through the YMCA and the Boys and Girls Clubs, rent and utility assistance through our partnership with the Community Action Council, support to Interfaith Works and Pear Blossom Place, they are also fully funded, and supports to Child Care Action Council, the Nurse Family Partnership Program, and Together. And also we were able to provide distance learning support grants to all of the school districts in the county to make sure that what gaps they had identified for students who were distance learning, we could make sure that those gaps were taken care of. In addition to that, we are also administering or have administered in the last several months about $670,000 emergency food and shelter fund program dollars on behalf of the federal government, the Department of Homeland Security, and all together with the contributions that we've gotten from the community and from the jurisdictions in the county and the CARES funds and corporate gifts, by the end of this year, we will have administered and distributed close to $4 million. And once those dollars are leveraged by our partners, the impact would be at least double that. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions or comments?
No, sir.
Questions or comments? All right.
Chris, when you mentioned this distance learning and the students, is that something that was worked through with the school districts, or were you working independently with families or through some other means?
With the school districts, we wanted to understand, we knew that there were a lot of challenges with connectivity that we've been hearing about. We knew that each need and each solution would be different by district. So we asked the districts to let us know what challenges they were having, how many students that were impacted in their district, and what solutions they had to mitigate those challenges and what the cost would be. So each grant was, the requests were modest. They were anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 per district, and they were different for each district. Some of them were Wi-Fi hotspots, some were devices, some were a combination of things, including other types of equipment like noise canceling headphones that would help the kids. And we were able to fully fund each request.
Thank you.
Chris, you thanked us for having faith in you, United Way. And I would say when you came up here from Florida 2 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago already, you made it easy to have faith in United Way. So thank you for your leadership in that forum as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jenica, we have somebody else on the part of the presentation.
Yes, we have one more. Thank you, Chris. And I just also wanted to say thank you for your work on this and your tireless commitment to make sure this project got done. So our last presenter is from Community Action Council, Allie Tope. She is the new Housing Program Manager at Community Action Council.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
Ready?
I am on my second day as the housing program manager. And
Welcome aboard.
2 days in a row.
I worked previously as the lead housing program case manager. So I am very familiar with the programs that we have been doing. I just wanted to thank the Board of County Commissioners for your leadership, and I also wanted to thank the county for collaborating with us. It's been an amazing partnership. We were the first in the state to begin serving clients.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I have slides, but I do not know how to share them. I'm so sorry.
It's only your second day.
I know. Hold on just 1 second here.
Do you have many slides, Allie?
I do not. I can just go off of them.
Yeah, do that or email them.
Yeah. So we received the Eviction Rental Assistance Program funding. We received an unprecedented amount of funding. And the Eviction Rent Assistance Program, we were able to assist individuals and families who are residents of Thurston County who have missed any rent payments since March 2020. We're able to allow up to 6 months of rent coverage for those that were rent burdened. 50% or more of their income is spent on their rent, or they were previously homeless within the last 5 years, had an eviction history, or at risk of severe illness or disability in the household. So between August 31st and December 17th, we've had over 1,637 appointments have been booked. We also have 103 households on a wait list, cancellation list, in case we can get them in. We have served 797 households with rental assistance as of today with this particular program. We also have 170 households that are waiting. We're just waiting on the landlords to return paperwork to us. The average benefit has been $3,020. Of the 797 households we've served, it accounts for 2,264 residents that have been served with this program. 2,245 months of rent have been paid in Thurston County through this particular program. We've spent an average of $280,000 a week, with a total of $2,408,408 have been provided to the Thurston County community through the Eviction Rental Assistance Program, which is unprecedented for our agency. It's been an amazing partnership with Tom Webster and the county in getting this program off the ground. Like I said earlier, we were the first in the state to begin serving clients with this particular program. We also have the Affordable Housing COVID Relief Program that has served 192 households, which account for 610 residents of Thurston County. So a further 192 households and 610 residents have been served with rental assistance and utility assistance, which is great for Thurston County. Any questions?
Any questions, Commissioner?
Our homeless coordinator, giving has been reporting to us every week on progress in this program, which is big. I'm always very excited about how it's growing, been implemented. So excited, I'm excited. She's our expert, and so good job.
I'm so sorry. I'm having trouble hearing you.
That was my fault. This echo is so bad, I turned off my mic.
Oh.
I was just saying that our homeless coordinator, Keely Marino, provides a weekly update on the statistics and the progress of your program all through the last months. And
yes,
she's always been very excited about how it's going. And so I think we've been excited about how well it's unfurled and been rolled out. So thank you to your team.
Yeah, thank you to Keely and to Tom. Our team has worked really hard to get the funding out the door. So it's been a great experience.
Commissioner Edwards, any questions or comments?
I think I'm just going to go with ditto with Commissioner Mentzer. Thank you.
I'm going to thank you, Allie, for all that you do, and welcome to day 2. You know, you don't work for me, but I'm suggesting you work 3 more days and take 2 off. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Jenica, is there anybody else?
That's all of our partners. And so I just wanted to end and say thank you to the commissioners and to Romero and Robin for providing this leadership and direction during this difficult time. We had a small but mighty team internally who expertly helped us get over the finish line. So I'm just incredibly grateful to be part of this team. Thank you.
For this finish line, there's going to be more coming up.
Yeah.
But you're right. Thank you very much. Thank you all for attending and making comment as well.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
We're now moving into agenda item number 1 at 2:45 almost, which is opportunity for the public to address the board. And I've got some guidelines I'd like to cover. We will start, since the boardroom is closed, room 280 is closed because of the governor's mandate. We're going to start with Zoom, those on Zoom, and then we'll go to the conference call, see if anybody has called in. Please, when you're called on, when County Manager Romero Chavez calls you, introduce yourself by, of course, by name, but so we can understand it, because we're writing down people's commenting for the record. Introduce yourself, including the address where you reside in the county. Please address the board, not staff. The board does not respond to public comments, and on an as-needed basis, the county manager will follow up with specific items. You are limited to a total of 3 minutes to address the board, and meaning you're not allowed to donate your time to another person. The board reserves the right to restrict a person's opportunity to address the meeting for good cause. No comments that are lewd, offensive, inflammatory, hateful, defamatory, or discriminatory in nature. We consistently ask that you please be respectful. No comments that are commercial in nature, such as a promotion for a for-profit business. Any materials that you provide via email or snail mail may be considered public records, subject to public release upon records request pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 42.56 of the RCW, and any remarks about pending land use issues or similar matters that could eventually come before the Board on Appeal wouldn't be appropriate either. We thank you very much in advance for your cooperation, and I'm turning to the county manager to see who we're going to call on first.
Good afternoon. I'm going to be calling on the Zoom screen for those individuals who I believe they would like to provide public testimony. And I will call them based on the order that I see on the Zoom screen.
Oh, Romero, before you begin, our clerk of the board, Amy Davis, will keep track of the 3-minute time inside the boardroom, and you'll be notified when your time has expired. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So the first that I have on the screen is Mr. Jeff Merriman. If you'd like to provide public testimony, unmute yourself. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, my name's Jeff Merriman. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, I live down in Rochester, and I previously sent some emails to all the commissioners on what I would like to comment on. Sorry, Mr. Edwards, I did not get my email out to you last week like I said I would. I had to verify some information that I didn't get a response to till today by Andrew. What I'd like to comment on is I just like to read my letter aloud, that just in case you haven't checked your emails. It says, Dear Commissioner Ty Menser, Gary Edwards, John Hutchings, Thurston County Code 20.34.020, the rural accessory dwelling unit that you guys will be addressing today. The purpose of the rural accessory dwelling unit regulations is to increase options for rural housing to allow for more affordable and diverse housing choices. By telling a property owner that they have to remove a 300 to 800 square foot mobile manufactured home that has permitted 2-bedroom septics per the FMU regulations, because it was previously used as a FMU, just does not make sense, especially when ADU regulations allow a property owner to convert a 5,000 square foot pole barn into a 10-bedroom ADU without triggering any density regulations. And that was per Andrew Bond. This scenario is allowed. And that answer came today. The common excuse the county officials will say is the FMU is supposed to be temporary. What is the definition of temporary? What makes an FMU temporary is that it is a movable dwelling unit and not a stick-built like what an ADU could be. If you read about urban growth areas and also what other local counties have done, you will see that detached ADUs do not trigger density requirements, and ADUs have an 800 square foot maximum footprint. That is also the same in conversions. Here in Thurston County, we are going to allow our ADUs to be way bigger than the state recommends. We will be writing a blank check. And I'm fearful that 1,000 Friends of Washington will come upon us with this conversion language that you guys will be approving today. Commissioners, I as a property owner plead with you, do not vote yes on the ADU regulation today without adding some regulation to the building standards like what is in the FMU language. Unfortunately, I had to wait till 12/14/20 to be able to see the final copy of what you will be voting on, and it is disastrous to rural county character. I beg you to allow FMUs to be a conversion candidate and follow the state rules on maximum square feet of ADUs at 800 square feet. Respectfully, Jeff Merriman. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
That's timed out.
Next,
Yep.
I have Kyler Danielson. We'd like to provide public testimony this afternoon.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to comment today. You've probably gotten used to me. My name is Kyler Danielson. I'm the Land Use Project Manager for Lakeside Industries. The asphalt recycling amendment has been going on for many years now, and we greatly appreciate the time and energy that the county has put towards this amendment, including the county's staff the county staff's thorough review of the issues and an independent review of the science. As you know, this amendment is a policy decision and does not grant a permit. Once this vote is completed, any entity who wants to recycle asphalt in the Nisqually subarea must seek a permit that requires SEPA review and site-specific analysis. For Lakeside's permit review, we publicly committed to working with the Nisqually Tribe and the Nisqually River Council to incorporate adaptive management practices and conduct groundwater monitoring for the wrapped stockpile storage at our Durgan Road site. We were pleased with the Planning Commission's unanimous support of recycled asphalt and with the outpouring of support at the recent public hearing from the unions, the Chamber, Howard Glasseter, Norm Dix, and several local businesses. Thank you for taking the time to consider this issue, and we appreciate your vote in favor of recycling asphalt, and happy holidays.
Thank you. Next, I have on the screen is Ms. Mary Hahn. I'd like to provide testimony this afternoon.
Hello. So something I think that needs to be considered about these ADUs is I think they are really important in our communities because they give opportunity and support to family and community members for all different reasons, from supporting a senior person to keep them near family and home, to age in place, to be able to, I know from a disability how hard it is for me to be able to get a place that's good for me to live, that I don't need to change to be able to accommodate my disability. What if we were to plan to make enough room in these ADUs for seniors to be able to age in place with big enough bathrooms and places for wheelchairs and things like that, so that we can support that it's already built into the community, that families can have this cycle of life from the center home on the property to an ADU that they can move to or stay there and support family that, I know what it's like to have serious mental health problems and challenges. I wouldn't stay with my family because I was so sick, I couldn't manage that. But what if there was an ADU, a way for me to get help and not stay homeless for as long as I was before I finally got help? How much sooner could I have been more successful off of the streets? There's just so many different ways that I think an ADU can support the community and family as an asset class, that when a senior is all old, that they can rent it to help support themselves. How many families have to send their seniors to facilities that I used to work in, and people dying in misery and despair? And I know what that's like with my illness I had. It was horrible. It was absolutely awful as I worked in facilities, seeing this horrible way we treat our seniors, and how, I get upset about this. Just really upset because this shouldn't be happening. And it's going to be our future. And if we go and keep on continuing this way and don't support a way for our communities to support themselves better, that when families apply for an application for in-home care, that they're told, well, apply everything on the application of the whole household income. And that means that families are having to kick their seniors out into a facility to apply for state care, for the state to pay for a facility and not in-home care, because the families are now being charged to be able to pay for their senior, and they can't, because now they're financially being ruined trying to take care of their parents or anything like that. It's a nightmare. It's awful, and there's just not a lot of choices. It's a really bad situation that I just don't think should be happening and forcing families and seniors into this situation.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Next, I have Mr. Doug Mott. Doug, you'd like to provide testimony this afternoon?
No, I have no comments this afternoon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, let me see. I have Tris Carlson. I don't know if I have county staff or not, but
I'm not going to have a comment for this afternoon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next, I have Mark Hancock.
I have no comment other than to say thank you to the commissioners and to staff for all of your hard work and wish you all the best through the holidays.
Thank you. Sir. Let me move to the next screen. Terry Schaffer, you'd like to provide testimony this afternoon. Terry Schaffer, again, we'd like to provide public testimony this afternoon. Hearing none. Next is Eric.
Oh, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You have 3 minutes.
Yeah, I am also agreeing with Mary, and that we really need to make sure that our community has the ability to help family members in this time of COVID and the seniors, because my mom is also aging. I would also like to ask the board to consider that size of units not be 800 or 850 square feet, but try to increase that to at least 1,000 square feet. You need to remember that there's going to be wheelchairs and walkers, and bathrooms and areas have to have cleared areas of easier access in through a kitchen. It's got to be wide, and the bathrooms have to be wide, and the bathrooms have to be big with walk-in showers so that the elderly and the disabled can properly bathe and get into where they need, and they can have proper help getting in and out of beds. And that's going to take a few people sometimes, and lifts, and that all takes up space. And 800 square feet needs to be reviewed and thought again of increasing that so that people have the ability to move around properly.
Thank you. Ma'am, where do you reside in the county?
I am in Boston Harbor,
All right,
in Thurston County.
Next, I have Eric Casino. You'd like to provide testimony this afternoon.
Good afternoon, commissioners. I did not call in to say much other than I wanted to express my appreciation for all the work that you did to finish up the comp plan amendment. I know there was a ton of stuff in there, and there's lots of interest from the community, and it's hard to make everybody happy. And I'm glad that you were able to finally come to some resolution on a lot of it. I think our community will be better for it. And I also wanted to just express my gratitude to Commissioner Hutchings for his 4 years worth of service. The county is better because he was here, and wish him the best in his future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Next, I have Tim Haley.
I really have no comment. I'm just here in favor of the ADU ordinance.
Thank you, sir. Next, I have Wendy Mifflin.
I'm here in support of Karen Weiss for the.
Yeah, I recognize your name. Sorry. Sorry, got it. So I think I covered just about everyone on the Zoom screen. If I have missed anybody, please unmute yourself. State your name and where you reside in the county. You have 3 minutes. Okay, thank you. Let me move to, for those members of the public who have joined us via conference call this afternoon, if you would like to provide public testimony, please unmute yourself, state your name, where you reside in the county. You have 3 minutes. None, sir.
Okay. Thank you all for public comment. Public comment is now closed. Item number 2 on the agenda is the county manager's update.
Yes, sir. I'd like to take a couple minutes, and this related to you, Commissioner Hutchings. It has been 4 years. Wow. 4 years of many briefings, many work sessions, and any related activities. But I'd like to highlight your particular role as the chair of the Board of County Commissioners for the last 2 years. Thank you for your leadership. You have worked tirelessly to strengthen the relationship with the cities. You were a key participant in forming the Regional Housing Council, and I think something you need to take it with you. You set the stage for the Habitat Conservation Plan this year. You put to task not just county staff, but also U.S. Fish and Wildlife to put us in the position to submit the 4th and final draft of the HCP which is going through the final approval process. And you had to do a lot with it. As you heard this afternoon, your leadership in the coronavirus relief fund discussions was key, and it's very much appreciated. I personally admire your support and appreciation for staff's perspective. I'd like to say thank you for your service to the citizens of Thurston County. I will certainly miss you, miss your humanity and your kind personality. Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
And that's all I had.
I have to say something in response, because when I considered this position, when I ran for this position, and when I was sworn in, nobody told me it would be easy. No one said it'd be easy, and it's not. But I was able to, and it's not about me, but with the proper attitudes I've seen, you don't have to come to work, you don't have to go to board meetings, you don't have to go to functions, you don't have to sit at public hearings, you don't have to, you turn the have to into I get to. We get to do this, and this is a fun job. It really is. It's a fun profession. And I just sincerely hope that I've earned the privilege of the community's support for the last 4 years and their time. So thank you. Thank you, sir.
Now, do you think you get to end it there? No.
It's done. Yes, we're moving on.
Is there time for just a quick comment?
Yes.
I do want to say that I think Eric Casino encapsulated things pretty well. The county is better off for your leadership. Just think you've been in that chair for 2 years, and now to have gone through maybe your first year as a learning experience maybe, and now this year as a COVID experience, boy, I can tell you that the county was lucky to have you in this position. And your willingness to positively address staff and appreciate their work, you outshine me like nothing. I mean, that's not even a comparison. So, but I really think that that's going to be missed. I was always able to follow up on maybe your comments or something like that. But you have mastered the ability to let staff know that they are appreciated when they are appreciated. So you're going to be missed. Thank you very much for your leadership, and look forward to seeing you around the block, wherever that might be. So just thank you very much, Chair, for all you've done and what you've brought to this position.
Thank you, Commissioner Edwards. And I appreciate you too. You are valued, and I have learned a lot from you. I have learned a lot from you. I've stood in your shadow for so many years. It's odd to be a peer of yours, so thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I just want to contribute a personal thank you. They've all thanked you on behalf of the county, so I'll leave that where it is. I just want to personally thank you because I came into this job from outside of government. I didn't know anything about anything. I didn't know how I'd be treated. Didn't know how to do anything. And you just made it so easy for me from day one, just through your respectful conduct of meetings, of board demeanor, facilitating conversation. From the very first meeting, I felt comfortable saying what I wanted to say and knowing that it would be heard. And I just thank you for that. You've made this 2 years very, like you say, this is a great job to have with a lot of responsibility, but it could honestly be not a very great job to have. If we didn't have the working relationship that the three of us have, I think we all show respect to each other in our conduct, and I think you've set that tone, so thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much. And now we're going to move on before allergies kick in. Next on the agenda is item 3, consent items A through F. And is there a motion?
I'd make a motion to approve consent items 3A, B, C, D, E, and F.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded to approve consent items A through F. Any discussion on any of those items?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Department items, that's number 4, is Central Services, request for qualification for Thurston County long-term bed expansion. And I believe you have Michael Crow Zoom with us. Go ahead, Michael.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Michael Crowe with Central Services. We're asking the board today to authorize Central Services to advertise a request for qualifications for a design consultant to develop design, construction, and bid documents for facility engineers project number 25578, Thurston County long-term bed expansion. The long-term bed expansion project will expand Thurston Mason County Mental Health Triage Center, and the facility is located in Tumwater at 3285 Ferguson Street East, from an existing 10 beds of crisis triage service to 16 beds. The additional 6 beds will be for long-term care. The Thurston Mason County Mental Health Triage opened in the summer of 2016, providing services to the community. The new project is utilizing grant funds provided by the Washington State Department of Commerce with a total budget of $1,542,128. The project is on the capital improvements plan for 2021. The Central Service expects to advertise for construction bids in July of 2021, and will ask the board at that time to approve the selected lowest bidder. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
No, sir. I'd like to point out to the public, we've went over this many times, discussed it in work sessions, and I do not have any questions, sir.
Mr. Menser, any questions or comments?
No.
I think we can use those extra 6 beds for long-term. So, Michael, thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Is there a motion?
I move to authorize Central Services to advertise a request for qualifications for a design consultant to help develop design, construction, and bid documents for facilities engineering project number 25578, Thurston County long-term bed expansion, and authorize the Assistant County Manager to execute the negotiated consultant contract based on the state stipulated fee, including 10% contingency and sales tax.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the request for qualification for Thurston County long-term bed expansion. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Thank you. Number 5 on the agenda is, thank you, Michael, is the Commissioners, it's 5A, Budget Amendment number 6. And we have Robin Campbell, Assistant County Manager.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. Robin Campbell, Assistant County Manager. And this afternoon, I am requesting that the board approve the final budget amendment of this biennium, Amendment number 6. This amendment is, for the most part, technical. There are a few items that I'll list off in a moment that are considered policy level. The changes in the budget, general fund revenue increases $220,000. Expenditures are increased in the general fund by $2.9 million. In other funds, revenue is increased $1.6 million and expenditures are decreased by $624,000. Now, those are some strange numbers. And the reason that the expenditures are not closely aligned with the revenue is one of the technical items in this budget is to move our coronavirus relief funds, also called CRF funds, to move the budget appropriation authority to the office or department where the expense was incurred so that we can pass a state audit next year when they look at how we spent the CRF money. And the bulk of the revenue has already been recognized in the prior amendments. Some of the highlights in this budget, there is an additional $15,000 for the coroner to ensure that he has capacity for all of the things that that office needs to do in light of increased deaths in our county. There's increased expenditure authority for the fair fund in the amount of $25,000. There's $250,000 for the insurance risk pool. There's $10,000 for benefits administration. and there's $7,700 in capital to complete a capital project in Building 3. Grants have been received by Public Works in the amount of $12,000. Oh, no, right, that's a technical, pardon me, that's a technical amendment. $12,000 for the purpose of purchasing a copy machine. And then we have received a few grants in the auditor's office for elections support of about $160,000, Superior Court, $15,000, $35,000 additional funding through the CARES Act for Superior Court. Law enforcement has received grants in the amount of $11,000 and $1,000. And you also have about $1.7 million coming in to public health and social services, both in COVID support and funding for the law enforcement assisted diversion grant. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have, but I am hoping that you will approve this amendment to wrap up this biennium.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Robin, I might have missed it, but can we clarify that the motion that I'm going to be making to approve a resolution includes the two items that were addressed this morning?
Yes, one of those items is in this budget amendment, Commissioner. That's the capital funding for $7,700 for the project in Building 3. The other item we talked about this morning is for the ensuing annual budget that you will consider on Friday.
Okay, so we do have captured the HVAC overrun issue that was discussed this morning.
Yes, sir, we have.
Okay, then I'm comfortable.
Mr. Evans?
I guess I would just make a statement more for the public than maybe a question to Robin. I think the public should know that those folks that are out there watching is this whole process is a democratic process as we move forward. Whether that process has to do with policy decisions or budgetary issues, I don't think anybody here got everything they wanted. And that's what you talk about when you talk about compromise, or maybe I shouldn't say everything you wanted. Everybody's not happy with the way everything turned out. And sometimes on cases we may vote against something, or when it's lumped in, we may vote with things. But if you can follow it as a citizen out there, you're doing better than I am as a commissioner up here, because it gets quite complicated. So I do know that I've heard from many friends and contacts throughout the county, why did you do this? What about that? How come this isn't addressed? I like to think that we're making sausage. Maybe it's not too pleasant. You might not like sausage by the time it's all done. But I'm hoping that we do make advancements as we move forward. And as brought out by citizens today in comment, that there's always a chance, okay, it's a step forward and we might have to revamp something we did. But I'm assured that we must have got it halfway right, because I've had judges tell me a good judicial decision oftentimes doesn't make anybody happy. So I'm just going to point that out as we move forward on this particular topic, and several hereafter that we have had many discussions on. All of us might not be completely happy with, but we're going to try and rectify that as time goes on. So that's it for me, sir.
Good, thank you. Then is there a motion?
I move to approve the resolution adopting Budget Amendment 6 for the 2019-2020 biennial budget.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the budget amendment number 6. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Because we've discussed this for quite some time. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Moving on to CPED, Community Planning and Economic Development. 6A on the agenda is ordinance for adoption of rural accessory dwelling units. And we have Andrew Bowen. Good afternoon, Andrew.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Andrew Bond with Community Planning. Development Code Docket Item A21, or Rural Accessory Dwelling Units, has been a docket item since 2018. The Board of County Commissioners included the proposal on the 2021 Official Development Code Docket in April 2020 and prioritized this proposal as a third priority out of 15 Development Code amendments on the docket. Thurston County Planning Commission held 4 work sessions from May 2020 through August 2020. A public hearing with the Planning Commission was held on August 5th, 2020. A SEPA determination of non-significance was issued on September 8th, 2020. Staff received 1 public comment during the public comment period of SEPA's determination of non-significance and no appeals. The Washington State Department of Commerce was notified of the proposed amendment on August 21st, 2020. A work session was held with the Board of County Commissioners on September 23rd, 2020. A public hearing with the Board of County Commissioners was held on November 10th, 2020 to accept public testimony. And a follow-up work session was held on December 2nd to consider modifications to the proposal in light of public comment received. At the work session on December 2nd, the Board of County Commissioners deliberated the options for the ordinance and voted to move forward with the final ordinance of adoption. The topics included ADU conversion definition, total number of ADUs on a parcel, and defining density for each ADU type. Public participation has been strong on this project with a large majority in support. Staff posted numerous press releases, legal ads, emailed interested parties, and consistently updated the ADU webpage to ensure the most accurate and timely information was available to the public. 104 public comments were received, and they continue to trickle in. The public comments are cataloged and compiled and routinely updated on the ADU webpage. A majority of the public comments were in support, citing the ability for a property owner to do as they wish with their property, that ADUs will help fight the affordable housing issues facing the county and could allow seniors to age in place. The comments against the proposal generally cited concerns over water quality, well and sewer connection, well and septic connections, and existing land use and rural character. Thank you for the opportunity to present on this proposal, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Andrew. Any questions or comments of Andrew?
No, but I'm sure this one falls into that area of compromise. So, no, I'm ready if you are, sir.
Commissioner Minster, any questions of Andrew?
I do have a question, Andrew, because I heard 2 different things during public comment, and it kind of got me confused, so I just want to clarify, and certainly the public could probably benefit. So one of the public commenters said that there's some kind of state recommendation for 800 feet maximum, but ours is going to allow way bigger than that, and that's going to destroy rural character. That's terrible. Then I heard other folks say, ours is limited to 800 feet, and they need to be bigger because seniors are going to need more space. So exactly, can you explain what the size limits are that are contained in this proposal to clarify that issue?
Yes, so let me just get this pulled up real quick. I had it right in front of me. So currently with the proposed ordinance, the size limitations for attached ADUs more or less state that they may not exceed 50% of the gross floor area of the principal structure. For conversions, there's no size limitations because it must be within an existing structure. Any expansion of that existing structure will be required to meet all applicable regulations. And detached may not exceed 1,500 square feet or 40% of the principal structure, whichever is less.
So what I heard you say is there is no 800 anywhere. It's attached is a percentage of the principal structure. The conversion is based on the size of the existing footprint, whatever that is, and the detached can potentially go well beyond 800 feet.
That is correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure the public heard that because there was definitely a misconception between the different commenters. Thank you.
Andrew, if this board approves 6A, this ordinance on ADUs, does that render FMUs extinct?
No, it does not. FMUs were not included with this proposal, and you, as a property owner, you would have the option to either apply for an FMU, or if your property would allow for it, an ADU. So FMUs were not included in this proposal and continue on tomorrow.
Okay, and another question is referring to Mr. Merriman's testimony. He suggested that ADU regulation today, if we approve this without adding some regulation to the building standards, he's suggesting we add some regulation to the building standards, like what's in the FMU language. Is that something that the board can take up next year to amend or examine and research?
Yes, it could fall to the board when the docketing cycle begins again to take a look at the existing language or take a look at the proposed, or take a look at the FMU language to see if changes are needed for that language.
Okay, so this is not a nail in the coffin then, so to speak. Okay, thank you, sir. Any other comments or questions?
No, sir. I've been working on this for 4 years. I'm glad to have it here.
Okay. Anything further? Okay.
Just as a comment, I guess, I would say that I agree, the ADU issue in rural areas is trickier than in the urban area, in my opinion, for all the reasons Andrew laid out. He summarized the public comment, and it kind of hit on every single issue I heard about, seniors aging in place, flexibility for property owners, affordable housing, growth management and sprawl, environmental water concern, rural density, rural character, and you're balancing all those factors. So this has been tricky, but I agree with Commissioner Edwards that this is exactly, for me, that kind of issue where, no one's going to be perfectly happy. I didn't get every piece of what I wanted. I'm sure Commissioner Edwards and Hutchings didn't get every piece what they wanted, but I feel like if you come up with a proposal that Commissioner Menser and Commissioner Edwards and FutureWise and the Olympia Master Builders can all agree on, you've done something pretty good. And the Planning Commission should be commended for their work on this.
Yeah.
Agreed, thank you. So is there a motion then?
I'll move to adopt an ordinance to amend Thurston County Code Chapter 20.03 to incorporate new definitions for accessory dwelling units, Chapters 20.08C, 20.08D, 20.10A, and 20.11A to correct references to 20.34. And Chapter 20.34 to incorporate accessory dwelling unit development regulations.
I'll second that.
I'm not going to read that all, but it's been moved and seconded to adopt the ordinance for rural accessory dwelling units. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries unanimously 3-0, or 3-0. Thank you. 6B, adoption of the Thurston County Comprehensive Plan amendments. And we're graced with Maya Teeple, Senior Planner.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Maya Teeple, Senior Planner with Community Planning. Today, I'm here to ask that the board take a final action to adopt amendments to the Thurston County Comprehensive Plan by resolution and by ordinance. The Thurston County Comprehensive Plan describes the long-term vision for Thurston County and looks ahead to set direction for the county's growth over the next 20 years. The comprehensive plan includes joint plans with the cities, sub-area plans, and chapters on land use, housing, transportation, capital facilities, utilities, economic development, the natural environment, historic resources, and health. Under state law and the Growth Management Act, the comprehensive plan may only be amended once per year. The adopting resolution and ordinance before the board today include several docket items that were included on the 2020-2021 official comprehensive plan docket, including item CP1, a 2020 update to the Thurston County Comprehensive Plan that refreshes the mineral lands, forestry, parks, and health elements. Item CP7B, an update to the Rochester Sub-Area Plan. And item CP11, a citizen-initiated amendment to policy E5 of the Nisqually Sub-Area Plan to allow for recycled asphalt within the sub-area. I'm going to provide a brief overview of each of these individual items, and then I'll take any questions. The 2020 Comprehensive Plan Update. The amendments reviewed under the 2020 Comprehensive Plan Update are items CP1 on the 2020-2021 official docket and include a number of continuing items that were not complete with the periodic update adopted last year in November of 2019. Specifically, those continuing items include updates to mineral lands, forestry, parks, and the health elements. This includes amendments to Chapters 1, Introduction, Chapter 2, Land Use, Chapter 3, Natural Resource Lands, Chapter 6, Capital Facilities, Chapter 9, Environment, Recreation, and Open Space, Chapter 11, Health and Human Services, Appendix C, Related Plans, Appendix D, Plan Amendments, as well as the Future Land Use Map, Map L1, the Long-Term Agriculture and Forestry Map, Map N1, and the Designated Mineral Lands Map, Map M43, to be repealed and replaced with Map N2. There are also several amendments to the Thurston County Code as part of the Mineral Lands Update, including amendments to Chapters 1720, 2003, 2030B, 2054, and 2060 of the Thurston County Code. The name of Chapter 2060 is also retitled from Violations and Enforcement to Administrative Procedures and is included as docket item A15 on the Official Development Code docket. Finally, there's 7 parcels totaling approximately 173 acres across Thurston County that are removed from the long-term forestry designation with an associated land use amendment and rezoning to rural residential resource 1 unit per 5 acres. Changes to these 7 parcels impact the future land use map, the long-term agriculture and forestry map, and are also implemented through the adopting ordinance with amendment to the official zoning map of Thurston County, Washington. These amendments under the 2020 Comprehensive Plan Update have had extensive review starting back in 2017. From 2017 to 2020, the Planning Commission, the Board of County Commissioners, and a mineral land stakeholder group reviewed proposed amendments. And over that time, 3 open houses were held on the comprehensive plan. 12 stakeholder meetings were held with interested mineral lands parties to discuss topics such as inventory, designation, policies, and code language. And the Planning Commission held 20 work sessions and 2 separate public hearings, one on the scope of mineral lands designation and one on the proposed amendments in August of 2020. Before providing a unanimous recommendation on September 2nd, 2020, 6-0 with 3 planning commissioners absent, of approval of the amendments as contained in this resolution before the board today. The board also reviewed the proposed amendments over the course of 2017 to 2020, holding 16 different meetings, both work sessions and agenda setting sessions, and more recently reviewed the Planning Commission recommendation on October 1st and October 15th, 2020. The board held their own public hearing on the proposed amendments on November 24th, and held 2 follow-up briefings on December 2nd and December 9th. On December 9th, after much discussion, the majority of the board provided direction, a 2-to-1 vote, to include the Planning Commission recommended options in the final resolution and ordinance before the board today. Moving on to the Rochester Sub-Area Plan, this is item 7B on the official comprehensive plan docket. And this item includes a full repeal of the 1996 sub-area plan and a replacement with a new Rochester sub-area plan that aligns with the general Thurston County Comprehensive Plan. 4 public open houses and events were held with residents and businesses in Rochester and Grand Mound through 2018 and in early 2019. And the Planning Commission reviewed the proposed amendment over 4 work sessions with a public hearing on January 8th, and unanimously recommended approval of the plan as contained in this resolution. The board also reviewed the sub-area plan over a work session in February of this year and held a public hearing in July of 2020. And at a follow-up work session on August 19th, 2020, provided a unanimous direction, 3-0, to include the updated sub-area plan by a full repeal and replacement in this resolution. Moving to our last amendment that is in this resolution, the recycled asphalt policy E5 in the Nisqually sub-area plan. This is a citizen initiated amendment and is item CP11 on the official comprehensive plan docket. The amendment revises policy E5 of the Nisqually sub-area plan to allow for asphalt recycling in the sub-area and also adds a requirement for covered storage of recycled asphalt. Work on this docket item has been ongoing since 2017. Thurston County hired an independent consultant to conduct an analysis on potential environmental and public health implications of recycled asphalt. That report could only draw broad summaries from existing literature, but did conclude that as a source of contaminants, recycled asphalt is highly variable, dependent on the manufacturing process, the source, the duration, the degree of weathering, exposure, and how long it is stored. The report did not assess potential impact of the application of best management practices. However, a number of researchers that were studied suggested that impact to the environment would be negligible if dilution and assimilation were considered. A public information was held on that report on June 20th, 2019. The Planning Commission reviewed the proposed amendment over 3 work sessions in 2020 and heard directly from guest speakers, including the applicant, Lakeside Industries, and Mr. David Trout from the Nisqually River Council and the Natural Resources Division of the Nisqually Indian Tribe. On October 7th, the Planning Commission provided a unanimous recommendation, 9-0, of the proposed amendment as contained in this resolution. The board did consider the proposed amendment and the Planning Commission recommendation in October of this year and held a public hearing on December 1st, 2020. At a subsequent briefing on December 2nd, 2020, the majority of the board provided direction 2-0 with 1 abstaining from the vote to include this amendment as presented in option 3 in the final resolution. Option 3 is the Planning Commission recommendation, which removes the prohibition on asphalt recycling under policy E5 and therefore allows asphalt recycling in the Nisqually subarea. It also adds a requirement at both the policy level and at the code level within Chapter 2054 of the Thurston County Code that best management practices be applied for operations that recycle asphalt to implement covered storage. Washington State Department of Commerce was notified of all of the proposed changes on October 1st, 2020. And in order to adopt these amendments, the board will need to adopt a resolution to amend the comprehensive plan and the sub-area plans, and also adopt an ordinance that implements these changes to the comprehensive plan by amending the Thurston County Code and by amending the official zoning map of Thurston County, Washington. Before I conclude, I do want to take a minute to recognize that there were others involved in these updates. Shannon Shula, our associate planner, was the staff person who worked on the Rochester sub-area plan over the 3-year period. And Chris Hawkins, the education and prevention manager with public health and social services, is the staff person who managed and tackled our update to the health element. So thank you to those folks who were involved with this update. That concludes my remarks, and I'm happy to take any questions if the board has them.
Thank you, Maya. Commissioner Menser?
No questions.
Commissioner Edwards?
I don't know as I have questions. I want to thank Maya for her hard work and her crew, but you talk about complicated. This one fits that bill. I've been here 4 years as a commissioner, and I've worked on all of these. Prior commissioners, actually, Maya said that the plan for the valley started in 17. In reality, that's been dealt with in one fashion or another, I think, since 2005 by the county. And other topics in here have been long discussed and ongoing. So when the chair gives me authority, I'm looking forward to moving forward. And boy, I've had people give me both sides of it and a bunch. And but I'm kind of looking forward to voting with Norm Dix on this issue. So I'm ready if you are, sir, if the others are.
Now, you also make a couple of remarks, because you're right. I've been given the dickens by a lot of people on either side of many of these issues. And they have been going on for years. Staff has been working a tremendous amount of time on this effort, as the Planning Commission has. And I think perhaps the best thing, and like Maya said, these two of these topics, the RAP and the mining mineral lands, are like the hottest topics going. And so perhaps the best thing about mining is that it always allows for or requires governmental approval, which gives the landowner the freedom to pursue permit approval while giving the government extensive control over how it's conducted and what it will look like in the end. And designation, a policy designation, does not equal a permit. Anybody wanting to permit a mine has to go through extensive process to get there. And from what I've been told as well from staff, mining does not consume open space. So after working extensively for years on these two, I'm anxious to get this moved on down the road. And there are some places out there in the county that are already permitted, and people are concerned about those as well, and perhaps rightfully so in their own mind. So with that, I am ready for a motion.
I am prepared to make a motion.
Mm-hmm.
I would move to approve a resolution to amend the Thurston County Comprehensive Plan by repealing and replacing the Rochester Subarea Plan, amending Policy E.5 of the Nisqually Subarea Plan, and amending several chapters and maps related to the mineral lands, forestry, parks, and health elements within the Thurston County Comprehensive Plan, and further move to approve an ordinance to implement the changes in the resolution by amending chapters 17.20, chapters 20.03, 20.30B, 20.54, and 20.60 of the Thurston County Code, and by amending the official zoning map, Thurston County, Washington.
Second that motion. So it's been moved and seconded to adopt the Thurston County Comprehensive Plan amendments as proposed. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. So I wish that we could separate some of the elements of these amendments, because I think there are good aspects on many of them and a lot of good work by staff all the way throughout. I had preferred, as I previously stated, to having recycled asphalt, for example, decided within the context of the Nisqually Subarea Plan, but that's not really the deal breaker for me on this package. The deal breaker for me is the natural resource lands chapter, and that I believe that the amendments do not do enough to protect agricultural lands of long-term commercial significance in the county, which are rapidly dwindling. And there were good compromise positions on the table in front of the Planning Commission, but they were not chosen. I believe that for a relatively small limit, because all of the options that were being considered were a significant expansion to mapping of mineral lands in the county. So I think the choices could have been made with very minor limitations on mineral lands that would have made a huge difference to preservation of agricultural land. The main example of that, to me, and the simplest, was the co-designation issue. Are we going to co-designate lands of long-term agricultural significance where they overlap with mineral lands? We have more than 10 times more mineral lands mapped than agricultural land of long-term significance. The Planning Commission and the board have set aside the recommendation of staff, the Agricultural Advisory Committee, a coalition of environmental groups, agricultural groups like the Community Farmland Trust, and 95% of the public comment on this issue urged a non-co-designation. So that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't think that these amendments overall are in the best interests of the county, because they don't do enough to preserve agricultural land. As I said at the work session, it's not a gravel mine on the seal of Thurston County, it's a farm. Farmland is intrinsic to our identity, our economy, our health. We need to do more to protect it. Thanks, sir.
Any further discussion?
Well, I'd just point out that we're trying to bake a cake with all the ingredients not being known here. And under the Growth Management Act, when it was put in place, boy, it left a lot to be desired when it comes down to consolidating some of these issues through commerce, where we get our authority and then we have to move forward on a package deal. I will say, when it comes to farmland and the overlap, that I don't think we're losing our rural character to gravel mining. We're losing our rural character to growth, but consequently growth takes gravel as an ingredient in that growth. But as far as losing that ag land to mining, I just don't see that that is actually happening. I know it's a possibility, but it's not actually happening. If you go back 30 or 40 years, The pit down by Tenino, I think, is the only new one, and that was 20, 30 years ago or something. So anyway, it is far from perfect, but I'm prepared to make a motion, Mr. Chair.
Just one final comment. Maya, thank you. If anything would give you gray hair, the comp plan would do it. And I haven't seen one. But thank you very much for the, I mean, this is tireless, tireless work and thankless. So thank you very much for you and staff. And it's been moved and seconded and discussed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, that motion passes 2-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
That takes us to agenda item number 7, Public Health and Social Services COVID-19 response contract amendments. And we have Shelley Slaughter, Director of PHSS, with us.
Actually, Mark Moffett.
Oh, actually, Mark Moffett. Yes, that's right. I had to change it this morning. Welcome, Mark.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Mark Moffett, the Incident Commander for the Thurston County Incident Management Team in response to the COVID-19. Before you, we have 10 amendments for the Incident Management Team. These are service contracts that we've been using in support of our COVID response. And I'll just go through all 10 of them and list briefly what they do for us. And if you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt. Our first one is biomanagement. With biomanagement, and what they do is they sanitize our rooms at our quarantine and isolation facility. They sanitize the rooms and common areas to help prevent the spread of COVID and also to clean the rooms once a guest leaves. Number 2, Cascadia Global Security. They provide security at our Hawks Prairie Providence COVID-19 testing site. That's a 24 hours they're out there protecting the equipment and staff during the day. Number 3, Coastal Business Services. They provide the laundry services for the quarantine and isolation facility. Specifically, they do the linens and towels for the facility. Number 4 is a new contract with Maxim. They provide specialized medical services to augment our community-based testing, as well as our strike teams that go out to outbreak locations with COVID positive tests. Number 5 is Olympic Ambulance. They provide transportation services to and from the quarantine and isolation facility, as well as taking folks out to the Hawks Prairie Providence COVID-19 testing site. Number 6 is the quarantine isolation facility itself. This is where people in the community can go to quarantine isolate if they don't have a safe place, either a home or maybe they have people at home that they don't want to also infect. We provide that service here in the county. Number 7, Pacific Coast Security. They provide the security at the quarantine isolation facility. That's 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. that they're on duty. Number 8, Providence. The Providence COVID-19 testing facility in Hawks Prairie that I mentioned earlier. This is the amendment to keep them going. They provide the drive-through testing site that's ongoing and also facilitates the lab services to conduct the testing. Number 9 is with Olympic Health and Recovery Services. They provide on-site crisis intervention at our quarantine and isolation facility, if need be. Since we've contracted with them, they've only come out one time to our facility. And then the last amendment we have is with Valley View, and they provide medical staffing at our community-based testing sites, as well as strike team and outbreak locations. And that's all I have for you, Commissioners.
All right, thank you, Mark. Any questions or comments of Mark, Commissioner?
No, sir. Good job, Mark.
Commissioner Menzer?
No.
Nor do I. Thank you. Is there a motion?
Move to approve 10 COVID-19 response contracts for a total of do not exceed amounts of $478,500 and to extend the period of performance until March 31st, 2021, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the contract amendments and future amendments that do not change the dollar amount by more than 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the COVID-19 response contract amendments. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Oh, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Next is 7B, waiver of competitive solicitation and contract for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Southwest Washington. And we have Chris Hawkins. Good afternoon, Chris.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Chris Hawkins here, Thurston County Public Health and Social Services Program Manager on Education and Prevention. And I have for you a subcontract from our contract from Healthcare Authority for Community Prevention and Wellness Initiative. This is to provide mentoring services in the Tumwater School District area of Thurston County. This has been a program that the Tumwater Hopes Coalition that we support and assist with that CPWI funding has picked for a key intervention in their community to help with youth substance use and youth substance use prevention specifically. This contract was one that we did in the 2019 to 2020 program year as well, and it was very successful. It made good adaptations due to the COVID-19 situation, and those adaptations continue this year. So we are eager to renew this with the Big Brothers Big Sisters of Southwest Washington, and are requesting a waiver from competitive solicitation that has been reviewed by the Auditor's Office for Thurston County, and they accepted our sole source justification on this, and we're asking that you move to approve the waiver of competitive solicitation and this contract for professional services with Big Brothers Big Sisters.
All right, thank you, Chris. Any questions or comments? Any from
No, sir.
Okay, nor do I. Is there a motion?
Move to approve waiver of competitive solicitation under Section A9 of Policy 0201 and contract for professional services with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Southwest Washington to provide a mentoring program to children and youth within the Tumwater School District for a total of $15,000 for the period September 1, 2020 to June 30th, 2021, and authorize the Public Health and Social Services Department Director to sign the agreement, as well as future amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to waive the competitive solicitation and contract for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Southwest Washington. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Oh, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Commissioners.
7C on the agenda is setting a public hearing for an amendment to for the approved fiscal year 2019 HUD Annual Action Plan. We have Tom Webster with us. Hello, Tom.
Hello, good afternoon, Commissioners. Tom Webster, Program Manager for the Office of Housing and Homeless Prevention with Public Health and Social Services. So we're here to ask you to set a public hearing for Tuesday, January 12th at or about 3 p.m. or to receive public comment and review amendments to the approved 2019 HUD Annual Action Plan. So we have received, the county has received a second award under the Community Development Block Grant COVID funding. This was funding under the CARES Act. The first allocation the county received was for $717,852. The second allocation is for $982,247. So we're amending our 2019 plan because that was the original plan that the first allocation was provided under. So in amending this plan, we're looking to fund the following activities: support for a safe parking program to support persons living in a vehicle or to enhance public safety, to support food assistance activities through the Thurston County Food Bank and Senior Services for South Sound Meals, as well as to support the lease and operational costs of the county's COVID-19 quarantine and isolation facility. The plan will be available for public review and comment beginning on or about December 22nd. So we'll post that. There'll be an ad published in the Olympian. It will also be posted to the county's website. And then once we have that, this public hearing is required by HUD before we can allocate these funds. And once we have that public hearing, we'll submit our plan, and then we'll be able to move forward with contracting those funds to the selected agencies. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
No, sir.
Commissioner?
No.
Nope. Yeah, is there a motion?
I move to set a public hearing for Tuesday, January 12th, 2021 at 3 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard, to receive public comments and review amendments to the approved fiscal year 2019 annual action plan.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to set a public hearing for an amendment to approve the fiscal year 2019 HUD annual action plan for January 12th, 2021. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
8A on the agenda is resolution and a call for sealed bids for culvert fabrication for fish passage enhancement. And we've got Marcus Storvik with us. There you are.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Marcus Storvik, Associate Civil Engineer. Public Works is requesting permission from the Board of County Commissioners to call for sealed bids for a contract to manufacture and supply one concrete culvert at the Gate Road Southwest at Mima Creek tributary location. This action and my next agenda item are both related to our fish passage enhancement program. The estimated cost to manufacture and deliver the new culvert is approximately $100,000 and will be funded with REIT 2 funds. This action will save about 3 months of material lead time. The new culvert will open up about a half mile of habitat. Our program has seen a lot of recent success. Since 2018, the county has replaced a total of 9 fish barriers with 5 new bridges and 4 new culverts for a total of about 6 miles of new habitat. This has won the program awards at the state, national, and even international level. I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
Commissioner, any questions of Marcus? Any questions of Marcus?
You know, my only comment is going to be to thank Chair Hutchings for being instrumental in putting this whole program together way back when. And you'll be able to look back and see our success, I'm sure, as this program moves forward. Thank you to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion?
Move to approve the resolution and call for sealed bids and authorize the county engineer to set the bid date and time for receipt and opening of said bids for the fabrication and supply of one concrete culvert for the Fish Passage Enhancement Gate Road Culvert Replacements Project CP number 63015.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve a resolution and call for sealed bids for culvert fabrication for Fish Passage Enhancement. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Nope. And thank you, gentlemen, as well. And thank you, Marcus, and your whole squad of people that make this happen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. 8B, the resolution call for sealed bids for Fish Passage Enhancement, a different CP. But we have to do a separate motion. Do you have anything to add to that one, Marcus?
Yeah, the previous one?
Yes, sir.
No, I'm ready for the next one.
Okay. Well, this one I'm talking about 8B.
Oh, gotcha. No, the only thing I will make a different statement on, the last one was a concrete culvert. This will be for 3 steel bridges at the Latigo Street at Spurgeon location, Chehalis Western Trail at Spurgeon Creek, and Gate Road at Baker Creek. The approximate cost is about $380,000, and part of the funds will come from a $1.7 million grant from the Brian Abbott Fish Barrier Removal Board.
Beautiful. Any questions?
No, sir.
Any questions or comment? Okay. Is there a motion?
Move to approve the resolution and call for sealed bids and authorize the county engineer to set the bid date and time for receipt and opening of said bids for the fabrication and supply of 3 steel bridges for the Fish Passage Enhancement, Latigo Street at Spurgeon Creek, and Chehalis Western Trail Project, CP number 63008, and Gate Road Culvert Replacements Project, CP number 63015.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve a resolution and call for sealed bids for Fish Passage Enhancement relative to these CP numbers. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Nope. I would just add to your comment as an addendum is that this is a mandate and staff has been finding grant money everywhere to make this happen. I've just been singing its praises and singing your praises. So thank you very much. But it's so important to do this and to have this move forward. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries. Marcus, thank you, sir. 8C, resolution vacating road and right-of-way of a portion of Hyatt Road Southeast. And we have Craig Sisson.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Craig Sisson, Real Estate Services Manager for Public Works.
On January 14th, 2020, a public hearing was held on the vacation of a portion of Hyatt Road Southeast. This right-of-way was dedicated to Thurston County by dedication deed recorded in Book 1 of right-of-way at page 227 on February 3rd, 1932. The hearing examiner considered the mandated criteria and determined that the right-of-way is currently open as Hyatt Road Southeast. The end of this road serves only one owner and has become a site for illegal refuse disposal and illicit activities. The end of this road serves only one owner and it is not necessary to maintain this right-of-way to the full extent. And 3, the public will be benefited by this vacation and the county will be relieved of liability for the area. The county will receive compensation for the right-of-way based on current appraised value, and the value of the petitioner's property will increase with the current additional area. The Board of County Commissioners adopted the hearing examiner's recommendation for approval by resolution number 15875, subject to payment of compensation consistent with Thurston County Code 1336030 and provision for a turnaround area for Thurston County maintenance and emergency vehicle. These conditions have been met. This road vacation is in alignment with the county's strategic plan initiative 8 to support robust and well-maintained infrastructure systems for a thriving community. I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Greg. Any questions regarding this vacation?
No.
No, sir.
Any? Okay, is there a motion?
I move to approve a resolution vacating a portion of Hyatt Road Southeast and right-of-way.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve a resolution for vacating a portion of Hyatt Road Southeast and right-of-way. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, that motion carries. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
8D, flow control ordinance relating to solid waste management and handling. And we have Karen Weiss with us.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Karen Weiss, Interim Solid Waste Manager, Public Works Department. Public Works Solid Waste Division is requesting the board consider the proposed flow control ordinance relating to solid waste management and handling in Thurston County. While counties in the state do not regulate solid waste collection, they do regulate disposal. Under RCW 36.58.040, counties may designate solid waste disposal sites as the exclusive sites for receiving solid waste collected in unincorporated county areas. Counties enforce these exclusive designations through local regulations, which are commonly referred to as flow control ordinances. Cities, through participation in interlocal agreements with the county, may also direct their collected waste to the county-owned disposal facilities. Flow control is not new to our county, but is currently managed primarily through a contractual relationship with our service provider for municipal solid waste, or MSW, or trash, transport, and disposal. This contractual agreement will expire, and when it does, MSW flow control, as governed by the contract, will cease. So an alternate comprehensive mechanism for flow control is critical to have in place as we prepare to request the release of a request for proposal for our solid waste operations, maintenance, transport, and disposal services in early 2021 to ensure the receipt of contract proposals most cost beneficial for the county. A flow control ordinance is necessary as it will safeguard the integrity of the solid waste system to reduce waste, control pollution, and protect and promote the public health, safety, and general welfare of Thurston County. Flow control helps assure that waste generated in the county is managed responsibly and ensures a steady, sustainable stream of solid waste and associated revenues to fulfill the county's significant obligations associated with our solid waste system. These obligations include to maintain efficient, reliable, and affordable solid waste operations and facilities for residents, to supply resources to monitor and maintain our closed landfill in Hawks Prairie and to comply with regulatory requirements, provide for facility and infrastructure capital improvements to address our current and future needs of our growing population, align with the objectives and implement the goals of our solid waste management plan, which include community programs and education, outreach, and enforcement responsibilities, and also ensure solid waste generated or collected in the county is handled responsibly in accordance with the values of our community. The ordinance itself was developed with input from members of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee and included a subcommittee of subject matter experts, including industry representatives. A hearing was held on November 17th, and we received 2 public comments. One was from an industry representative in support of the proposed ordinance. Specifically, the proposed flow control ordinance designates Thurston County solid waste facilities, which includes the Waste and Recovery Center in Hawks Prairie and the Rainier and Rochester drop boxes, as the exclusive disposal sites for all municipal solid waste generated in the county, with certain exemptions. It regulates MSW commercially transported from the unincorporated areas of the county to the county-owned disposal facilities. It regulates residual waste generated from recycling or reclamation facilities within the county to be transferred to the county-owned disposal facilities. And it provides for enforcement mechanisms, including compliance inspections and penalties for violation. It does also include the following exemptions from disposal at county-owned facilities. So it exempts residential self-haul customers from penalty and enforcement actions. It exempts inert waste, which is items like concrete, asphalt, brick, and stainless steel collected. It exempts waste loads consisting of 90% or more by volume of construction and demolition debris. It exempts any container of solid waste consisting of 90% or more by volume of recyclable materials. And it exempts source-separated recyclables collected from residents in scheduled routed curbside programs. It also provides authority for the county to exempt additional MSW materials from disposal at county-owned facilities if unable to process either by source, type, or volume. With that, I'm available to answer questions you might have.
Do you have any questions, Commissioner?
No questions.
Well, I've got some comments.
I had a comment, but yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, and I'll carry these comments back to these last few items we've been voting on and going through for the public, because we went through them pretty fast. But that doesn't mean we didn't put a lot of time into these and discuss them for quite a number of times as we move forward until we get to the point where we actually make the vote. I've got a law enforcement background, and I like to think I'm playing checkers when I try to think ahead as far as I possibly can. Or that I'm not playing checkers, I'm playing chess when I'm moving ahead with the thought process here for down the road. And I'm not completely convinced that there isn't an opening for abuse, or you could say it would be probably. It could be abused. I don't want to say it's going to be abused, and it could open it up for corruption. And so because of that, I'm not totally sold on this whole process. I know staff has put a lot of work into it, and we're going to go through this in the democratic process. But I'm afraid that schools, both construction and public and private construction jobs, could incur additional costs, and I'm always against additional costs. And then for the other reasons stated, I feel I'm not quite there yet, but I know the process. So, gentlemen, thank you.
Commissioner?
I'll just say, we've gone through this, and I had to learn a lot about it. There's places where Thurston County is the first in the state to do something. Like we heard earlier, we were the first to put eviction protection dollars, rental assistance dollars in the hands of our residents. Other times we're the last to do something, and according to information that we've been provided by our consultants, we're the Lone Ranger in this entire greater Puget Sound region to not have an ordinance on this topic, which I think puts us at a disadvantage. We've got a chart here that shows that every single county, left, right, up, down, north, south, has an ordinance with this type of very similar provisions. Some of the counties closest to us, for example, Lewis, Mason, and Pierce, actually provide for criminal penalties. And we had a hefty debate within the board about what's the appropriate, and we do not have that. We have civil penalties enforced if that were to come to that. And so I wanted to point that out because that was something that was of concern and was discussed by the board. But the counties closest to us on every side have gone even further than we're going here. But this puts us in line to where we're in a consistent policy, and we're not going to get taken advantage of by other surrounding jurisdictions. So And I believe, what I understood from the county manager who's been working with municipalities, that they understand where we're going with this direction and they have not expressed significant opposition or any grave concerns about this direction of Thurston County.
Yeah, I have been working with the cities of the city managers from Olympia, Lacey, Tumwater, and Yelm. And I presented this proposal maybe 3 months ago because I didn't want to give them the perception that we're going to be rushing something into it. So we made ourselves available to answer any questions on the last check-in with the city managers. They didn't raise any concerns. It's just going through the normal approval process of considering a resolution. And the instrument as to how we're going to coordinate with those cities will be through a new local agreement. And that agreement has already been sent to the cities to consider as well. So we're working on that coordination.
Very good.
Sir.
Is that it?
And is this, just one more question, is this action of ours dependent upon their approval of an interlocal agreement?
No, sir.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
I would just like to clarify one thing, that it is my understanding that we do have some type of flow control in place under our existing contract. Is that right?
Yeah, but that contract, as you heard, ends.
It ends, right? No, I'm just, I'm not so sure. I don't agree with the flow control as much as the content of the flow control. So it's the democratic process. What can you say? We don't always agree, but we try to be cordial. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
So Karen, I have a question for you and or consultant, and that is, number one, there's a lot of fervor and consternation over the last 4 years that we've been talking about this and dealing with this, and quite a bit of lobbying that began in 2017 back then. A lot of fears about the flow control as well. And so what Commissioner Edwards brings up is construction and demolition for schools and such. That was addressed a week ago, 2 weeks ago, or in the past as well, about schools and the construction or demolition? Would you explain that briefly, please?
Sure, correct. Yeah, so we had some great valuable perspective and input along the way, and that construction and demolition aspect was brought up. And so 2 things in our flow control ordinance address that. The first is that a true construction and demolition debris load, which is 90% or greater of those materials, is exempted specifically from the ordinance and can be taken to a appropriate facility outside the county. The second is that we built in for some of these concerns the ability to exempt certain types of materials by source, volume, or type. And so if in the future there was a type of material that we needed to have a discussion about for some reason, there is a provision to be able to exempt that within our current flow control ordinance as proposed.
Thank you. And no matter what we do, and I don't mean just we, whatever anybody does or doesn't do, there's always someone that's not going to do the right thing. There's always the element of fraud and such. And so you can't guard against everything. So with that, I'm ready for a motion.
I move to adopt the flow control ordinance relating to solid waste management and handling.
Second. So it's been moved and seconded to adopt the flow control ordinance relating to solid waste management and handling. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I'd just like to point out, I wasn't going to bring out the minutia of my concerns, but I will say I don't know of any garbage police out there. I don't know who's going to check the truck for 10% or 14%, where we're going to unload it, what we're going to do about it. There's just issues. It's not quite there yet for me. So I'll just let it go with that, sir.
All right. Anything further, Commissioner?
Nope.
All right. It's been moved and seconded and discussed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed?
Hey.
Okay. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Karen, et al.
Thank you, Commissioners.
8E, request for proposal for a Thurston County Solid Waste Operations Maintenance, Transportation, and Disposal Services contract. Hello, Karen. Welcome.
Good to hear from me again. So there's a nice correlation between the flow control ordinance that you just took action on and the request for proposal that I'm going to outline now. So the Solid Waste Division is requesting the board approve issuance of a request for proposal for solid waste operations, maintenance, transport, and disposal services, including organics and recycling management. As background, the Public Works Solid Waste Division operates 3 facilities, which you heard about, that manage the municipal solid waste or trash generated in the county by residents or businesses. Again, these facilities are the Waste and Recovery Center in Lacey and the Rainier and Rochester Dropbox facilities. In 2019, these three facilities accepted about 235,000 tons of solid waste and processed more than 265,000 individual customer transactions. Most of the facility operations currently, as well as the transportation and final disposal contract and final disposal of all municipal solid waste received at these facilities, are activities performed under contracts which were originally executed in 1998. These contracts, which are valued in excess of $16 million annually, will expire in May of 2023. Due to the complexity of these contracts and the transition time needed to prepare to provide services under a new contract, Public Works must initiate a procurement process in early 2021 to ensure continuity of operations. In October of 2018, this board gave direction to move forward with a request for proposal, or an RFP, process for solid waste services, given the benefits of the procurement process. It's the most transparent, fair to all interested parties, and the legally defensible option. The RFP process allows for competition and evaluation of multiple contractors' proposals and is the most likely to result in a contract that meets the operational needs and delivers the greatest value to the public. In alignment with this direction, an RFP for solid waste operations, maintenance, transport, and disposal services, including the recycling and organics aspects, and accompanying draft contract have been developed. To ensure the best possible RFP process, the division provided a 60-day pre-review period, which commenced September 18th of 2020. And during this time period, potential proposers were allowed to review and comment on the draft RFP documents. Their written comments have been received and have been reviewed, and the RFP and contract documents have been revised as appropriate based on those comments. We also formed an evaluation committee, which included representatives from our local cities who participated in the development of the RFP and will also participate in the review of proposals received. The ranked proposals and any financial impacts of a proposed contract will be presented to the board for consideration and approval under a separate action. So in summary, we're asking that the board approve the issuance of the final request for proposal for solid waste management services as I've outlined. With that, I open for questions.
Any questions?
No, sir.
Any questions or comments, Commissioner?
Comment, I guess, over the last 2 years that I've been on the board, we've slowed this process down. We extended contracts. We improved the RFP process. We increased collaboration with the SWAC and the municipalities in the development of the criteria. And ultimately, we're going to have a process and we're going to get proposals, and we're not bound to those proposals if we feel that the timing's not right or the terms aren't satisfactory. And so I feel like we've done everything we can do to try to be methodical and measured about our approach here. Those are my 2 cents on this.
All right, thank you.
Can I say something?
Certainly.
Ditto.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
Yes, I move to authorize Public Works to issue a request for proposal for services associated with operation and maintenance of the county solid waste facilities and transportation and disposal of solid waste received at these facilities.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve a proposal, a request for proposal RFP for a Thurston County Solid Waste Operations, Maintenance, Transportation, and Disposal Services contract. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Thank you, Karen, et al. again.
Thank you, commissioners, and the team that's represented here. Much appreciated.
Good job.
Thank you all.
Thank you for your hard
Thank you
work
all
It's
very
been a long
much.
road, and good job, and thank you, commissioners, for supporting this process.
Great. That takes us to agenda item number 9, where commissioners report on board work sessions and assigned committee work. Commissioner Ansel?
I'll wait because I know we're way behind schedule and we have public hearings to get to. I've been busy, is all I'll just tell people.
I'll echo that. I know he's been busy, seen him going, and me too, and I'm going to wave as well.
He's always busy, but I'm not going to wave.
Okay, we'll save you
I'm
the
going to
time.
report one thing. Last Thursday, December 10th, I attended a Zoom meeting along with County Manager Romero Chavez and our lobbyist Deborah Munguia and Commissioner-elect Carolina Mejia, and we met with Representatives J.T. Wilcox and Andrew Barkus in legislative issues, explaining out county legislative issues that are very, very important to us. And it was a good, about 30-minute meeting and a good introduction to the new commissioner. And that's it. So with that, I turn to the county manager.
Yeah, I'm going to run you quickly. The next two Board of County Commissioners meetings, that will be the 22nd, I believe is the 29th, are canceled. So this is your last form. That's what is taking so long, because there's a lot of heavy items for your consideration. So soon after this, we have separate Zoom meetings for the 3 public hearings that you will be hearing. So one is related to changes on the speed limits on some county roadways. The other public hearings relate to some water and sewer rates adjustments leading to the 2021 budget. And the third public hearing is related to franchise communication application received by Singular Wireless. Tomorrow, Wednesday, December 16th, you have a briefing from JASCOM related to a proposed ordinance on pet retail. Also, you have a briefing from PG Sound Energy related to the community data project they have conducted. And tomorrow you have your last meeting with your fellow elected officials here in the county. Thursday, December 17th, 9 in the morning, have invited to participate in the wrapping of the gifts that we're going to be donating to the Adopt family that we have conducted this year. At 11, you have an executive session where you will be reviewing the annual performance of the county manager. And at 1 in the afternoon, Commissioner Menser, Commissioner Hutchins, I believe they have your regular meeting on the TMDHASO. Finally, I got the acronym even. So Friday the 18th, you have the study meeting. And Friday the 18th, that is where you will be considering adopting the capital facilities plan, followed by the budget adoption, which we have several resolution ordinances for your consideration. For you to take an action on that. And after that, we'll deliver the gifts to the adopted family down in Rochester. Nothing on December 21st. On December 22nd, we have organized a small gift exchange here in the commissioner's office that will be at noon. And nothing on that day. December 23rd, nothing. December 24th, nothing. On your schedule, December 25th is closed, the county offices. Moving on to Monday, December 28th, nothing. December 29th, nothing. On Wednesday, December 30th, which is not included in your calendar right now, we'll add the swearing-in ceremony. It will be a virtual swearing-in ceremony that will be about 10 in the morning, and it will be a virtual ceremony. So we'll add that on your calendar if you'd like to attend. Obviously, you will have to attend.
Where's that actually being held? The whole thing is virtual?
It's virtual, all virtual.
Oh, wow, okay.
So we'll get that information to you.
It's the first.
And that will take us to the end of the year. Thank you so much for everything you have done as a board this year. There's a lot of heavy lift considering the COVID-19, the emergency and everything else. And once again, thank you so much, Commissioner Hutchins, for the job well done.
Thank you. I've had wonderful seatmates and great leadership with the county manager. Thank you. And budget-wise, with the assistant county manager, Robin. So with that, the public hearings are different Zoom, aren't they?
Yeah, so you need to close this and then we'll be in a different Zoom.
Is there anything for the good of the order, commissioners?
Good luck to you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else?
Could we take 5 minutes to reconvene
Yes,
the
we
public
can.
hearing?
Yeah, 5 minutes. And then also after the public hearings, you do have the regular Board of Health meeting, which I failed to mention.
Well, if there's nothing for the good of the order, we are adjourned for December 15th, 2020. It doesn't need a motion. We're adjourned.